everyone. Welcome to the April 2025 monthly LGBTQIA plus commission meeting. We are going to start with roll. Please say aye when you hear your name. Starting off, Leonard Orbovich.
Aye.
Catherine Calhoun.
Aye.
Julian McLean.
Aye.
Richard Parsakian has an excused absence. Shanti Porter. Sarah Rosso.
Aye.
Derek Tynes. Guillermo Velasquez. Kevin Carroll. Barb Warwick has an excused absence. Donald Donovan.
Aye.
And last but not least, Alexander Gray.
Aye.
Wonderful. And we have met quorum. So starting off, a reading and approval of prior minutes. I am going to be totally honest. We have not actually, from my knowledge, approved any minutes since I started. I'm guessing we have to do them one by one just because we have 3 to evaluate at this time. So I sent out the minutes for November of 2024, which were done by Billy. And then January of we didn't meet quorum in December, so we technically can't release minutes. And then January of 2025 and February of 2025. I was not able to finish March, but next meeting we will be doing the minutes for both March and April, and then we'll be totally caught up. Okay. So starting out with November, do I have a motion to, I guess, do we have to discuss the minutes at all? Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for November?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
It. I second CC.
Lovely. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Moving along, so that is approved. Moving along to January minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the January minutes?
So moved.
Lovely. Seconded?
Second.
Wonderful. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And the January minutes are approved. February 2025 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the February 2025 minutes?
So moved.
Is so moving. Any seconds?
Second.
Wonderful. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, so now it is my job to then put those minutes on our website, and then people will actually see the things we are doing. Now they can always see these videos, but they also now have a written record of seeing the kind of work we've been doing, which is really, really wonderful. Moving along to acknowledgement of public comment. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what the contact I've gotten from the town hall later in the agenda, but I have not received any public comment at this time, just for everybody's knowledge. And then moving into officers and standing committees, I'm going to say really quick, I had a misprint here. We do not have an available seat for the outreach coordinator. That is Alexander. That is my bad, Alexander. I did not mean to put that there. But first and foremost, we have open positions. If anybody wants to nominate themselves or others for those positions, this is the time to say so. Seeing none, we're going to move on to reports. Do any of the executive team have any reports? Seeing none, we're going to move along.
Reports.
We can actually, CC, to be totally honest with you, we can have an exec meeting in like the next week or so and talk through what those reports might look like in the future. That is something that
I was going to ask if that would be possible because I just need to know what to do. That's
exactly.
all.
We're all
Thank
good
you.
there. So I'm going to get on doing an exec meeting and making that more regular so that the exec team knows exactly what they're doing. And then moving on to reports of special committees, specifically, I've kind of combined it into our momentum building, action goal planning, wanted to go into town hall reflection. So how did everybody feel? Good, bad, ugly, anything we can improve, anything that you felt like went really well, kind of an open space for discussion.
I'd like to comment. Um, so I think, I mean, from having regular events at the studio and seeing the climate of current town halls, or just in general, I think it went really well. I think that we had a lot of good responses from audience members that were there. I think people like the food. um, I hear that we're going to get a good write up in Huberg about it. Um, and yeah, the mayor gave us a lot of his time. And I think that showed a lot of his intention for community as well. So I had a great time from what we've heard from as the host site. We felt that everyone had a great time. Um, yeah, we'd love to do it again from our perspective, non-biased. Um, and then just as the co-chair as well, even if it's not at this location, maybe it's a moving town hall or we can go to another space, um, look at another face. But yeah, I think all in all, 9 out of 10, and I give it a 9 because we need to be more ADA accessible. But period.
I couldn't agree more. I'm going to give some space for other commissioners to chime in before I give any of my own opinions. So any other commissioners that were able to attend, if you'd like to speak your mind as to how you felt about the town hall, please feel free to do so.
So if I could jump in, I completely agree with everything Julian said, and it was a great experience. And it felt so good to finally get out and talk to people. In our next ones and future ones, I would like us to try to leave more time in the schedule for that kind of interaction, because I don't feel like we didn't field questions, and we didn't end up talking. That we had too many presentations. We talked too long, and I don't feel like. I mean, we certainly engaged the community, but if anybody came with questions, we didn't answer them because they didn't get a chance to ask them. So that's a change I would make going forward. But again, not a criticism. It was a great event.
No, totally reasonable.
So glad we did it. But
yeah.
A town hall implies a give and take that I'm not sure really happened. That's
Yeah,
all.
absolutely. I think that's totally reasonable, and we can definitely leave more time for questions for the commission. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Lenny. I was also thinking it might be, they're like actual like online platforms that facilitate Q&A. So that might be a good idea to institute here where people can actually, scan a QR code and submit their questions live. Um, I think everyone has varying levels of comfort with speaking up in a group setting like that. That might be a way to especially increase the accessibility to maybe millennials and younger as well. I know there's just there's a different culture there to speaking up in public.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
And also, Julian, just thank you so much for, opening up the space. It was incredible. The food was wonderful. People were wonderful. Thank you so much. Deeply appreciated.
Absolutely second that too. Yeah, Julian, it was great. Thank you so much for everything you did. And Adriana, you too, of course.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Anybody else? Any other comments, thoughts?
I will also say that again, that my particular question, I mean, it resonated with me, was that when I asked the commanders portion about like what proactively or preventatively are we doing to protect communities? Is there like a task force? Is there some sort of protocols or a hot word like thing that you see on social media that you guys are looking out for? And I felt like the answer was kind of like if the community sees something, then you say something, and that was kind of like, they're like, no.
No, there's definitely room for improvement. I can definitely agree with that. All right. Any other comments before I give kind of an update on any of the reactions I've heard? Okay. So we had at least 65 people attend, which I think is phenomenal. Q-Bird reported over 70, so maybe he got a better count than me. I have no idea. Every single one of my Know Your Rights cards is gone. I have to print entirely new ones, which I am absolutely blissful about. I'm going to make the second round of them a little more readable just because the print is extremely small, but also it's a give and take on a business card size material, obviously. I have had multiple folks reach out to me to say they really enjoyed and loved the town hall. I've had at least 4 new applicants to be on the commission, which is wonderful. I've had multiple folks reach out to get more information about resources, or collaborating either with the commission or with the administration in some way in the future. And so overall, also the mayor loved it, felt phenomenal about it, has had nothing but praise about the town hall and the space. Julian, he really loved True Tea. I absolutely agree. We were fitting a lot into that town hall as far as like, hey, here's the commission and here's CHR and here's Commander Baker. I think capacity wise, it would make sense to do at least 2 town halls a year. And I think if we end up doing at least another one in this year, that we definitely can make it more commission oriented, to field more questions, address constituents kind of head on with any of the concerns they have, with the understanding that like I will still be there, probably neighborhood services will still be there if there's questions that are more specific to the city that the commissioners can't answer. So instead of us taking more space as city staff, it would be more commissioner oriented. But obviously that doesn't have to be something we are planning today. But I did want to take time to just kind of give a big round of applause for all of the commissioners, for obviously True Tea and Julian, for Dirty Bird's Chicken. We ended up ordering what I would think of as the absolutely perfect amount of food. We did not run out of anything, but also we had enough to donate to one of the folks that was visiting, had a way to give that food to, it was either after school stuff, I'm forgetting, but it was definitely the stuff that we would want to donate our food towards, making sure that folks eat. And so, yeah, I feel really, really great about it. I agree 9 out of 10. There's places we can improve. For instance, me charging my computer and actually having the PowerPoint last the entire time. But you know, I think overall for a first town hall, it was really, really phenomenal. I was really happy to see that the amount of participation from community members that I have never met and I've never seen before. And so it was really great to see some new faces. Any other comments, questions about the town hall before we move on? Wonderful. Getting right into the next big thing we're planning together. I'm officially going to hold the first Outfest Planning Committee meeting on April 30th. I'm going to have 2 sessions, one from 3 to 4 and one from 4:30 to 5:30 to try to accommodate various schedules. During those meetings, I will also kind of take a poll as far as like what days or times work best for everybody, because I do want to be as accommodating as possible. We can definitely kind of popcorn, throw those dates around. But I want to make sure, knowing that this is happening in October, that we start to figure out a location. We start to figure out what the overall kind of look of that festival includes. What kind of folks are we inviting? Not just community members, but like I'm very much prepared to pay for performers. What kind of performers are we having? So there's a lot we get to figure out together. I'm very, very excited for it. I'm going to send out an invitation tomorrow. Just for context, the planning committee is going to include any and all commissioners that can make it. Again, I understand that you did not sign on as a commissioner to plan an entire festival. But if you can make it and you're interested in being a part of the planning, then I encourage you to do so. Otherwise, we're inviting Dina Stanley. Obviously, she is the organizer of Pride. There isn't a more knowledgeable person about how to plan a big gay festival. And then we're going to have some city staff there, specifically from like neighborhood services. They already hold these smaller festivals called City in the Streets. Some of y'all may have seen them before. They pop around to different neighborhoods every single year and hold like a pretty small kind of food and resource type festival. So they are very helpful for figuring out like the permitting, the regulations I have to go through, because I have not planned an entire festival before. So that's going to be kind of the makeup of the committee. If you know of anybody that would be also beneficial to that, we can start to work that in as we're doing those planning sessions. But yeah, just wanted to give everybody a heads up that on April 30th from 3 to 4 and from 4:30 to 5:30, I'm going to be holding those meetings. They will be hybrid. I would love to have people in person. I think that would be the best thing creatively, but also I want to make this as accommodating as possible. And I know not everybody has the time or the ability to make it downtown. Okay. Cool. Any questions, comments about Outfest? Amazing. Going forward to our unfinished business. So I actually have some updates on some of this stuff this month, so I'm very excited. First and foremost, our favorite subject, logos. Yay, logos. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk through the logos. So I sent these yesterday. I've only gotten feedback specifically from Richard. He just wanted things to be a little more readable. This is what I'm going to say about these logos. Two things. First of all, we really need to pick a logo because if we don't pick a logo, we're going to have a really hard time ordering a tablecloth and getting other materials ready for Pride because Pride is soon. Secondly, if it is a small edit, if it's something like we want this to be a different color scheme, we want those to be filled with white, yada, yada, we can work around that. But if it's a flat out, I hate it, we kind of have to go back to the drawing board again. And at that point, I'm probably going to have to do a whole exec meeting and get the whole exec board to have a decision. And then if you guys hate the logo, you have to blame the exec committee because that's not on me at that point. So starting off, we have two options today. Let's start with comments, questions, concerns. Actually, would you prefer me just show both logos and then us kind of open it up? Okay,
Yes.
that makes sense. So this is number one logo. Julian, I was inspired by what you described about the back outline, but it's actually really hard apparently to do. I could probably do it. It's actually really difficult though, but I'm trying to make it work. So here's the city outline. We have the letters in color, and then we have the city seal. The second option, going off of something Lenny was talking about, is doing the middle parts of the bridge in rainbow, and then just the plain letters. I'm going to open it up for discussion. I'm going to open it up. Let's hear what's going on.
I vote for number one.
Okay,
I will say,
wonderful.
though, I do like the LGBT. Like I said, my first comment on that each letter being a different color is just doesn't sit well with me. It seems like ABCs, like to me.
Okay, heard.
And
Understood.
like white lettering, and then just like an underline under like LGBTQIA. If that's like a rainbow, just like an underline, like a division or something.
Okay, hold on.
I think that could suffice. But
Underlined with rainbow.
yeah, but I think that white lettering would go well with the white background, and then
White lettering.
under
Okay.
LGBTQIA. I mean, yeah, LGBTQIA plus, just like a underline, but that.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think Scotty.
Heard. Love it. Thank you. Other comments or which one they like better or whatever we can work with.
I prefer the second one as is. I think it looks great. But I'm ready to move on from the logo. So whatever we decide, I'll live with, but my vote would be number two.
Okay, heard. I also wanted to say we don't have to have the seal in number two. If the seal is distracting, that's also okay. If it's small artificial changes, we can still probably vote on something today. If it's a total, I hate everything that I'm looking at, we have to move on. So, okay, we've heard from two commissioners. Do any other commissioners want to speak up, see how they're feeling or which one they prefer?
Oh, I'll say I do like the second one a little bit better.
Okay.
I'm curious to see what it would look like if the letters were just like solid white and not bubble
That
letters.
came up today. Yes, that came up today, and I'm more than happy to do because I was showing this to several people around my office because as you can imagine, we've done quite a few logos for this commission. So at this point, I'm like, anybody with an opinion, love to hear it. And the idea of making the City of Pittsburgh LGBTQIA Commission letters all in white would probably make it more readable from afar. So that is something that we would potentially definitely be able to do.
That makes sense to me too.
Thank you, Donnie, because my decision has changed also to number two.
Are we coming to some sort of consensus? This is so
Yeah.
crazy, guys.
I
Okay.
feel like
I
the first one is like a little kind of off-centered, and I don't know, there's something feels weird about it, but
Yeah,
I,
yeah. It
yeah.
was exact. I appreciate the the effort, but yes, right letter. My
Yeah, I I think my opinion is that, well, several points. The first one is that I think we should have the seal. I think it's important that the seal appears. The first one is nice. I like it. It's very colorful, but I think it's very festive. It's like, and the other one is more serious. And I mean, I think it will be more like a use that everybody will agree with than the first one. And in the first one, if we can go back to the first one, I would only like I think Julian was saying, only the LGBTQIA will be in color like the rainbow. The rest should just be white or something else
Okay, heard.
because it's too much color.
It's too much color. I don't think I ever expected to hear from this commission that there was going to be too much color. But we're working through it. We're working through
No,
it.
I mean for a logo of the city.
No, I totally agree with you. Okay. So, anybody else? Thoughts, comments?
But my opinion will be the second one,
Second
too.
one. Okay, so that's, I think at least 4 people have said they prefer the second one. Anybody else? Does anybody want to be?
I absolutely agree on including the seal. I think we need the weight of city government behind it.
Love it.
I agree with Guillermo completely on that.
Love it. Okay, great. So seal stays. We're leaning towards the bridge with doing solid white lettering for the letters.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any qualms or concerns with any of that? Do I hear a motion to approve this seal with white lettering?
So moved.
second.
Oh,
I'm a second
Oh.
and third it.
oh my gosh, this is insane. Okay, wait, hold on. So who did the motion? Motion was by Lenny. Who seconded it? I heard Cece.
Everybody.
We all
Everyone.
did.
Cece / everyone. All right. All those in favor of approving this logo with completely filled white lettering, please say aye.
Oh dear God,
Aye.
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 I'm so blissful at this moment.
And,
Okay.
and this could also be an idea for the city to put these colors in one of the bridges.
They do this
Pride
for the
Month.
sister bridges. They do it. But we don't even own this. That's actually hilariously, guys. We don't even own the bridge this is based off of. But I don't care. This is the city of bridges. We're gonna work through it. It's not a problem.
They have in the past. I mean, that's where I got the idea.
Yes, no, they definitely do it. It's just I think it's the county that decides to do it in Rainbow because we don't actually have any control over that specific bridge, but that's okay. So we have approved this logo, which is wonderful. I'm gonna probably put in new business us talking about if we want to order a tablecloth for Pride, but I just want us to sit in the joy of actually having a logo for the commission for a moment. This is a beautiful thing, guys. We've done something really monumental here. And any other comment before I move on? Wonderful. So quick update on unisex restroom recommendations. I have scheduled a meeting with Barb Warwick's office and DPW for the 21st, so Monday of next week, in which Barb and I are going to talk about what kind of legislation we can create to make all new builds and large renovations that are going to include a restroom include a unisex restroom. We are also having DPW there to explain like what kind of upcoming projects this might impact. So for next month meeting, I will have like a clear update on kind of the next steps for either I'll have some sort of legislation written, it will be in the midst of being written, or we will have some understanding as to exactly what the impact of it will be. The other recommendation we have around in making any of the existing single stall bathrooms into unisex restrooms is still awaiting an intern. They're supposed to start in May. So that is a little bit delayed, but we are still going to move on the other recommendation. Okay. The other thing I wanted to flag is SOGI training. Me and HR have been email tagging each other, and we have been having a hard time finding a meeting to talk more about the next steps for that. So I'm sorry I do not have a better update about SOGI training. I will say there is a scheduled training for the mayor's office for this fall done by Vibrant Pittsburgh. That's going to be around LGBTQIA inclusion. I do not know the contents of that training. I need to get a better understanding as to exactly what Vibrant is going to be talking about, but I can also keep y'all updated on what's going on there. Any questions about those two things that I just reported on, both SOGI training or restroom recommendations? Seeing none, moving on into new business. So I'm folding the tablecloth into planning for Pride. So pretty much, long story short, Pride is, I believe, June 1st this year. Today is April 15th. We're going to have our May meeting, and then suddenly it will be Pride. So I thought it was really important that we start to talk a little bit about this 2 months out instead of feeling the pressure suddenly a few weeks right before the festival. Long story short, I am happy to reach out to Dina to figure out how we can obtain a table. That's not a concern. I do want to ask if, since we have approved a logo, if we are all right with ordering a black tablecloth.
I think that's perfect.
Is there a motion to order a black tablecloth?
So moved.
Wow. Who is the second?
Second.
Nice. Everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And we have it approved. Okay. So again, it's just going to be a black tablecloth with this logo on it. So there shouldn't be a concern there. And also I'm going to clean this logo up a little bit, make sure that as it gets larger, it still looks like crisp, you know? But yes, so we're going to have a tablecloth. I will also be printing more of the Know Your Rights cards. I think this is also a very good space to say, do we need any other resources or any other materials? Like, I'll buy candy. That's not a concern. You know, we'll have the tablecloth. We'll have the Know Your Rights cards. But is there any other things, resources, materials that you think would be important for us to have so that I can start to make them prior to us literally getting to the festival?
Are we producing new pamphlets?
I'm very happy to, and I'm open to doing that. I'm happy to like start to draft it this month and present it next month if that's something everybody is interested in.
I think we should have something to hand out along, information along those lines.
I'm totally fine with that.
Also, Adrian,
yeah.
Excuse me. Just as not to put on my fancy little hat as outreach chair, maybe you and I could have a meeting just about potential for other documents.
Yes.
Sort of in line with Know Your Rights card and other resources.
Yes. Okay. So this is what
How about posting it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How about like printing a QR code that links directly to the Facebook page or to the website?
QR code to website. All right. Pamphlet, a QR code. I was going to think of something else. Oh, last year I just had kind of signups for anybody that wants to be contacted by the commission or potentially become a commissioner. I'll have those again. I had both a QR code and a sign-up sheet last year, and everybody just wrote everything. So I'll do the same thing this year, but honestly, it was everybody was very happy to just write their information down. So if we have the Know Your Rights cards, a pamphlet, some sign-up sheets, the QR code that goes to the website, is there anything else that people like, I'm happy to do an activity.
Yeah.
I just have to be thoughtful about like what activity are we doing? You know what I mean?
And I was sort of thinking that as well. Last year at Pride, actually shortly after I met you at the table,
yes.
I saw Latasha Mays around.
Okay.
Is there any chance we could like secure someone to show up and be like a meet and greet with, I don't know, that's just an idea. I'm
I
just
don't hate that. I definitely don't hate that idea. Let me think about that. But yeah, meet and greet.
I have a couple suggestions as well. For some low-hanging fruit, I will say stickers are a big craze with
Great idea.
yes.
Gen. So those can just be printed right from this logo, I think, on a black sticker.
Yeah.
Even me, like I love stickers.
Yeah.
For an activity, I think just plain old simple suggestion box or like a word from community to the commission. I think that these are real live chances for us to have conversations with our neighbors and for an opportunity for us to gather some data that we can use for maybe later purposes. So, I mean, it could be a good starting point to say that we, out of all of these physical contact points, we've had these many suggestions or these many points of suggestions from viewers. So it could be.
Okay. That's very
I
doable.
also, I also think that, the prize gonna be on the 31st and the 1st of June, 31st of May and 1st of June, Saturday and Sunday. And I think it will be important if we can ask to when they have that main stage, in the park, if they
Yes.
would allow at some point to make an announcement for you, Adriana, definitely because you're representing the city and a commissioner with you, both on Saturday and on Sunday, to just, acknowledge that the commission exists, that, I think it will be, almost like free advertising at the same time. But I think, that's a moment that we have with the community and
Mhm.
people need to know, and just highlight like 2 or 3 main things,
Yes.
so that people, not too much, but just 2 or 3 highlights. I think it's
Okay.
important.
I am more than happy to do that. Yeah, so I can reach out to, I'm already going to have to reach out to Dina about the whole table situation. So I think I can also ask her while I'm talking to her about like
And
if
it can
there's
be,
potential for us to have like 5 minutes on stage because it
yeah, it
doesn't
can
really have to be
be,
long.
yeah, and it can be while they're switching,
Yeah.
entertainment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
At a time where, there's definitely people sitting there and watching.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with that. So just so I'm bringing back what I'm hearing from everybody. Pamphlets, QR codes, stickers based off of our logo. I'm thinking like I don't want to call them bumper stickers, but like kind of like Q-Bergs on Julian's little laptop, kind of like long wise stickers, you know what I mean? And then some sort of suggestion box, questions for the commission, comments for the commission kind of thing. And then also asking Dina if we can have a little bit of time on stage to give a shout out to the commission and some bullet points as to what we're doing. Stuff like our bathroom recommendations, the fact that we just did a town hall on LGBTQIA rights in the city, stuff like that. Any other thoughts? I will say, not to like start a whole thing. Realistically, we might be able to do like t-shirts or something if we really wanted to. But I don't want to be crazy. But I just wanted to give that out as like we can, if you have an idea of merch that is beyond stickers and pamphlets, we can probably do that. Lanyards, a bandana for dogs. I've been thinking about that endlessly. I don't know why. I have a dog, so that's why I was thinking about it.
Do
But
you
anyway,
this budget exists? Or are you saying that you? Are you
I
saying?
put money aside for the committee.
Okay, yeah,
So
but all that.
as long as
We would all that.
as I need to look at the budget again, but as long as the tablecloth doesn't cost more than like $400 or $500, which I don't think it will. The last time I looked, they were like $200. I think we might have some wiggle room for other merch.
Okay. Well, at least I like to start with t-shirts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heard. Let me look into t-shirts. We're gonna do that as a tentative because I want to make sure we have the budget for it after town hall and stuff, or excuse me, after tablecloth and stuff. But if we are capable of doing t-shirts, I'm more than happy to have t-shirts. And wouldn't it be so cute for all the commissioners to have t-shirts?
Yeah.
It'd be so nice. Okay, so stickers, t-shirts, pamphlets, QR code, suggestion box, stage, meet and greet, question mark. Anything else before we move along? And I'll also give a little update as to what the Day of Pride will look like staffing wise.
Is there any possibility of getting commitments from the mayor or city council members to just hang out at the table for a little bit,
Yeah, hold on.
meet people there?
Ask mayor plus city council. Yeah, I think that's very realistic. I can definitely probably guarantee the mayor for anywhere from a half hour to an hour at the table.
Nice.
City council, I have no control over, but at the very least, Barb is a council person and a commissioner, and so very likely to be there at some point. I'm sure the other the other council members might want to take opportunity to connect with the LGBTQIA community because they really don't have that many opportunities specifically for our community to connect with them. I think that actually merges.
I just think it would be significant to have elected officials there.
I completely agree. And at least last year when we were there, multiple people had questions specifically about the mayor or city council. So I think it would be beneficial to have some of them there, even if it's not for the whole time. Any other comments, questions, ideas about Pride? Great. I am going to have some examples of so I will probably be ordering the tablecloth like this month. The other stuff is a little more flexible, so I'll either get it approved, like the final idea for like the sticker and the pamphlet, either in an exec session or in the following May meeting. Okay, cool. So that actually merges beautifully into the protocol for Pride, which is you, as I've said before, none of you signed up technically to go and volunteer for Pride every single year. That is my job. So I will be there the whole time that we are tabling. We're tabling from like 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. I will be physically there the entire time. But I do think it's very good to have commissioners there, even if you cannot stay the entire time. I know that this is an incredibly important festival every single year for our community. I do not want to take you away from that. But also, if you have time in the day and you can dedicate some time to tabling, it definitely makes it more dynamic, more joyful for me to have somebody there to actually talk about their experience as a commissioner. And I think overall, it's a wonderful experience of being able to connect directly with community members. So we do not have to decide that today, but I want everybody to kind of have it in the back of their mind. And definitely for May meeting, I'm going to want some confirmation as to whether or not you're available for Pride. Okay? Cool. Great. And again, I will also, prior to next meeting, extend an invitation to both the mayor and city council to join us at tabling. None of you have to bring anything but your beautiful faces. I will have all of the materials and everything already set up or be setting up when you get there. Okay. Moving along, and I'm going to give a little bit of preface and then I'm going to pass it along to Alexander to explain this a little further. But Alexander reached out to me about the fact that the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Pennsylvania has an LGBTQIA working group right now. He seemed to be very curious about if we wanted to invite them. Before I reach out to them, I really would prefer to talk to the commission and ensure that y'all are interested in having them. So I'm going to pass it off to Alexander to give a little more context, and then y'all can decide whether or not you want to have them at a meeting to talk about the work they're doing. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, isn't very much more than that, to be honest with you.
That's totally fine.
I don't have like any direct contact with them, but I did just see their resources listed. I was going through like social service pamphlets a while ago, just getting a sense of what's out there. So I thought it might be a good idea, just considering everything that's going on with our civil rights. So I thought it would be a good idea to build that connection, especially after the town hall we had. So yeah, that's about it. That's my spiel.
Any questions? Is there a motion to invite them?
I would like to move to invite them.
Second.
All right. Okay, wonderful. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, I will reach out to them and let them know that the commission would like to hear a little bit more about their work if they're available in the next few months to come and visit. Okay.
Thank you.
I think it's so funny because I did send it out, but I accidentally forgot to put it on our agenda, and I want to make sure we don't forget about it, which are the two statements we said we were going to be doing during our last commission meeting. One of them being our statement specifically about the Safer Sex Work Ordinance. The other one being about us condemning universities for removing their language around trans and non-binary students. So give me just a second and I will bring those statements up just to say, we don't have to finalize anything today. I just drafted this. If anybody has concerns about the language, this is not something we have to approve immediately, but it is something that I'd like to get out soon. Okay. So just a second. Okay, I think we're going to start with safer sex work if that works for everybody. Which I won't lie to you, I was having a little bit of trouble with the language here because I wanted to make sure we were hitting all the notes, but also not kind of further stigmatizing any specific members in our community. So share. All right, can everyone see the statement? Oh, here, I'll zoom in so everybody can actually see a little bit better. Can everyone see the statement that starts with the City of Pittsburgh's LGBTQIA Commission firmly supports the Safer Sex Work Ordinance?
Yep.
Great. If you'd like, I can read it aloud, which is, yeah, I'll just read it aloud just in case for everybody. The City of Pittsburgh's LGBTQIA plus Commission firmly supports the Safer Sex Work Ordinance, which proposes reducing the penalty for prostitution from a misdemeanor to a summary violation. This important reform will help ensure that individuals arrested for this offense are not saddled with criminal records that could limit their access to housing, employment, and essential services, critical factors in rebuilding their lives. For LGBTQIA plus individuals that are facing systemic discrimination, higher rates of unemployment, and a lack of support networks, some may turn to sex work to make ends meet. The criminalization of sex work disproportionately harms these individuals, further entrenching the challenges that they face. In addition to lowering the charge to a summary violation, the proposed ordinance reduces the associated fine to $100. With the option to substitute this fine for community service. This change will ease the economic burden on individuals who are often already struggling financially. By offering alternatives to steep fines, the ordinance ensures that people aren't further penalized for their survival, allowing them to focus on accessing the resources and support they need to move forward. By treating prostitution as a summary violation rather than a misdemeanor, this reform acknowledges the lived experience of many members of our community and helps to minimize the harmful stigma and long-term consequences associated with a criminal record. It is an essential step toward dismantling the systemic barriers that prevent people from accessing the services and support they need to thrive. We stand in solidarity with all those affected by this legislation, advocating for a more inclusive, compassionate, and just society where LGBTQIA plus individuals can live free from discrimination and criminalization. Thoughts? More than open to edits here. I also sent the link to everybody, so if you don't want to say anything here, but you do want to comment, totally fine. Like within the document, I sent the link for everybody to be able to edit if they wanted to.
So I move that we accept the document as written. There's a second.
Okay. Wait, who was that second? I want to make sure I get it. Did somebody second?
If not, I'll second it. It's Cece.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we've moved it, we can discuss whether or not we want to make any friendly amendments to change it.
Heard. Does anybody have any thoughts or amendments before we vote on approval?
I have a quick thought.
Yes.
Just devil's advocate.
No, yeah, go ahead.
For repeat offenses, like compound, like, I don't know, it's also associated with like other criminality. I know that we can make this suggestion, but I just know that this letter doesn't speak to like, I don't know, repeat. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, so I can, may I?
Hmm.
So, from my understanding, the ordinance gives the police the flexibility to have harsher offenses or harsher fines or whatever for repeated offenses. Because that's kind of more, from my understanding, of a gray area of like, if it's a first time thing, it seems like they're just going to go with either the $100 fine or the community service. If it's a second time thing, they might do the exact same thing. I don't know what happens exactly when it gets to a third, a fourth, a fifth time of being arrested. But also, we understand that there are not so many arrests in our city that it's likely that somebody's going to get arrested as an individual 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Not that it can't happen, but it's unlikely that most people are going to be arrested many, many, many times for the same offense.
Right.
I am happy to add other language, but I do want to be thoughtful of like it's kind of a subjective decision on the police officer as to not even the police officer, but kind of the court as to how they address this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if that context helps, let me know.
Yeah, that helped me a lot. Okay. I don't know if the language that we want to it just the letter speaks to a first time offense and just
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because I think I hear you there. I'm trying to think.
It is primarily what the ordinance speaks to as well, though.
Yeah, for the most part, from my understanding, the ordinance is more of a, hey, if this happens one time, like you really shouldn't arrest somebody and give them a misdemeanor that's gonna follow them for many, many years.
right.
But yeah, do you have any proposed changes that you'd like me to make related to that?
I think that I don't know. I can't remember. This is really small on my phone, so I can zoom. Uh,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. It's okay. But like, I don't know, like whilst realizing or like that the discretion is up to the police, I think that we need to put that in there, like put the community on notice that the police still have this discretion to use um, um, in lieu or in of this recommendation. But we're making the continual fight for the true
What
criminal.
about something like like language similar to something like, while this ordinance is an important step forward, we understand that police still have the discretion in repeat offenses to charge people with more
Yeah,
substantial fines or charges.
right.
And we understand there's still work to be done, like something where it's like, hey, we know there's limitations to this, but we still know there's work to be done to address some of this criminalization. Would that be more of kind of what you're thinking?
Perfect. Yeah, I think.
Cool. Okay.
I did have a suggestion.
Yeah, what's up?
In the second paragraph, quote, some may turn to sex work to make ends meet.
Yes,
Um,
I had a really rough one with this one, I won't
and
lie to you.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important to recognize that sex work is still labor
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
and that maybe there might be a better way to put that. Sounds like you've already thought about it. Um,
I was going back and forth also with specifically naming that specifically like trans and people of color
uh,
are stigmatized, but also I do not want to like
right.
specifically put more stigma on that
Absolutely.
community just because there may be higher rates of sex work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I hear you there completely. I'm gonna highlight that and see if there's a way I can make it a little more accommodating, I feel like is the word I want to look for right
I
now.
mean, along the lines of like having to sustain themselves through the acts of sex work.
Ooh, okay. I don't hate that. Okay.
Yeah. And something along those lines. You don't have to use that. But
No, I appreciate that. I think does anybody else have any other language that they think would be a good kind of fill in for they turn to sex work to make ends meet? Okay, seeing none, happy to make that inclusion in the end paragraph about while we understand this is an important step forward, the police can still demonize or give higher charges or larger charges to folks that are repeated offenders. And this is just one step towards ensuring that LGBTQIA folks and sex workers are not discriminated against and criminalized. Happy to do that little inclusion. And then also happy to work through the end of that sentence that I highlighted about making ends meet. Is there any other edits? Yeah.
Yes, I also think it might be important to emphasize a sort of prevention aspect to this, especially when it comes to gender-based and sexual violence.
No, I
That
think that's a really phenomenal
I think
edit.
that
Absolutely.
I think that could make this a lot more powerful and a lot more palatable.
Love it.
Emphasizing that oftentimes sex workers are victimized by others. So,
No, I couldn't agree more. Okay, perfect. I have all that down. Anything else?
I don't know if this may be valid or not, but I always think about people from different nationalities. I always think about cultural language, like reference to what, it was just said, because people could also be victims or of something. So I don't know if this is something we need to take in consideration or not within that. But
Okay, let me think on that. So can you expand on that a little bit more, Guillermo, if you're
yeah,
comfortable?
like right now there's a certain group of individuals that are more targeted than others,
Yes.
and it's basically based on nationality.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So,
You know,
I'm just trying to think about how, because I agree with you. It's why I was kind of going back and forth with specifically naming
yeah.
like
That's why I'm
what.
not sure. There's something that has to be mentioned or not. But I was just trying to make a point of
Oh
what we
yeah.
see also happening now. That a lot of people being targeted.
I agree.
Maybe something in the sentence: the criminalization of sex work disproportionately harms these individuals. Maybe in as well as various ethnic communities, right? Add something about the racial aspect. Just be more inclusive in that statement.
Yeah, no, totally fine with that. I had something similar to that in the first variation of this. I just was really going back and forth about if I should name them or not. But if that is the vibe of the commission, I'm more than happy to do that. Any other comments before I kind of reflect back on what I'm hearing?
I think that all these were those were great notes as well, but I think just like condemning, like I think that sums it up is condemning the economy of human trafficking. Um, and so I'm like, while we support having to sustain yourselves in certain ways, we also condemn the total economy of human trafficking, and no one should have to be in sex work if that is not their decision as well.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so
Yeah, some kind of statement that we recognize the differentiation between.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and can I just ask, Adriana, did you write this first draft all on your own?
I wrote this first draft on my own. I ran it by one of my coworkers, and yeah, pretty much.
Excellent. Well, thank you for doing that labor. I feel like it's also important to recognize that
That is
you're.
my job. I'm like, that is totally fine. It is really working with all of you is one of my favorite parts of my whole job. So I don't mind it one bit, but thank you for the recognition. I really do appreciate that. Okay, so just to read back, this is in no particular order. I'm just kind of going off of what we were just talking about. So adding something about how the criminalization of sex work disproportionately harms specific communities, kind of adding in the nationality, race, and people of color, trans folks kind of group it in there. adding a prevention aspect specific to ensuring that this ordinance is helping to address violence by ensuring that sex workers feel comfortable reporting if they experience violence or trauma. Adding a aspect at the end about how we understand that this is an important step forward, but that police can still, further stigmatize and criminalize sex work by giving harsher fines or penalties for repeat offenders. Changing some of that language about some may turn to sex work to make ends meet. I have sustained themselves through sex work. Might work that around right now, but that is a better placeholder at this time, in my opinion. And then also giving a condemnation of the economy of human trafficking, ensuring that we understand the separation between folks that are making a choice in some fashion and people that are being coerced or forced into sex work. Any other thoughts? Cool. I can't speak for any commissioners, but I will say that these are some significant changes, and I'm totally fine if we don't want to pass this right now and be able to see a letter that reflects all of these changes first, but that is really the choice of the commissioners.
So I'm not going to twist anybody's arm on this, but I agree with Adriana that the issue is timely. And speaking for myself and only myself, I trust Adriana to include our friendly amendments and rework this into something that we would all be comfortable with. And I'm willing to vote now to move that forward.
Absolutely seconding what Lenny said. I trust Adriana to make sensible edits and additions.
Right. Let's move to approve this edition with the additional edits. And I guess we will review on the next meeting. But I trust Adriana as well. So move to approve this letter with the
friendly amendments. Second.
Phenomenal. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. And moving forward to our second statement, hold on, which I'm hopeful is going to be a little more straightforward than our last one. That's why we went through the last one. So going to zoom in here. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Hold on. Here we go. All right, can everyone see the City of Pittsburgh LGBTQIA Commission strongly condemns? Does everybody see that? Phenomenal. Strongly condemns the recent actions of several universities that have removed inclusive language from their websites and resources, particularly language that acknowledges and affirms the identities of transgender and non-binary individuals. Such moves not only perpetrate harmful erasure, but they also send a damaging message to students, faculty, and staff that their identities are not valued or recognized. Inclusive language is not just a matter of semantics. It is a critical step through creating environments where all people, especially those from marginalized communities, feel seen, respected, and supported. Transgender and non-binary individuals who already face significant barriers to acceptance and equity in many aspects of our society are especially vulnerable to the psychological and social harm that comes from being denied recognition of their identities. By removing inclusive language, these institutions fail to uphold their responsibility to foster safe, supportive, and equitable learning environments. It is vital that universities not only embrace inclusive language, but actively work to ensure that their policies, practices, and resources reflect the diversity and experiences and identities within the student body. The LGBTQIA+ Commission stands firmly with transgender and non-binary students, as well as those who seek a more inclusive academic world. I'm still playing around with academic world, academic space environment. We call on these universities to immediately reinstate inclusive language and take meaningful steps to support the rights and dignity of all students, regardless of gender identity. Our community deserves an education system that respects and uplifts all people, and we will continue to advocate for those who are too often left out of the conversation. Thoughts here?
I move that we adopt the statement as written.
Cool. Do I have a second?
Could I just make a brief comment?
Yes.
In light
Oh,
of
and then somebody's got to second the motion before we can do
Mhm.
discussion
I'm
on it.
sorry.
Oh, Lenny's right.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Alexander.
No, I appreciate the attention to detail. Just keeping in mind what came out today regarding Harvard.
Yes.
It does seem like universities are starting to realize that appeasement is not going to help. We might just want to keep an eye on this and see how universities are going to move forward. Because we saw two totally different models. We saw Columbia on one hand, and we saw Harvard on the other. So I think we're going to see our local institutions also taking different approaches to the issues at hand. So I just want to bring that up and just address it that this did happen, but we might want to just keep an eye and see what are the exact approaches that the institutions take going forward as well.
Heard.
I can speak to that as well. So we have interns at True T from the University of Pittsburgh, and they had this conversation with the Office of Student Life there, and they said that they did remove sign language, but it was just to get out of the crosshairs of the removal of federal funding.
Uh-huh.
Diversity and equitable and inclusive initiatives are still going to be had, but it was to avoid some sort of malaction against the university. So I don't know if we want to actually maybe potentially speak to somebody from the university. I don't know if that would be
Well, Julian, that's a very good point. I did actually hear from, I believe his name is James Williams,
Mhm.
and he is sort of the government liaison, local government liaison. If we wanted to have a conversation with him, he did seem open to that. That's an option.
Yeah, we can tell them we're about to write this letter.
Yeah, hey, you know what?
That's fine. But yeah,
I think it's important. I agree with Lenny in what we want to do is send a message now. We need to speak out and say something. The things may change, by when we meet in May, and it's okay. We can always release another statement. But I think
Yeah,
we have to speak, and that's really because if we don't say anything, it's like we stay quiet.
absolutely. I think the form that it has now is fine and it's not super aggressive. Just recognizing the fact that universities do have a great deal of economic power in our region. So I think this is fine as is, but that we'll continue to check in on these things as we move along. Yes, I agree with you.
Any other discussion or thoughts on anything that they'd want changed or edited within or added to this statement? Or I'm also open to if we want to table this statement and like have somebody from the University of Pittsburgh or some other university talk through this, like really whatever the commission thinks is the best next step.
with that being said, like that, I think that what Guillermo said does make sense to me. Just like the call to action that we have here is we call for these universities to immediately reinstate inclusive language. And that might not be something that they're looking to do right now. So
That's a very good point. Yeah.
um, so I think that maybe just rewording that, like we strongly just encourage the thought of being inclusive and diverse and making sure that your students and however we want to word that, but like the call to action here is immediately revert and put that stuff back on your websites.
Would it be all right to leave it to we call on universities to take meaningful steps to support the dignity of all students, regardless of gender identity? Like cut out the immediately reinstate inclusive language and just have it as like taking meaningful steps?
This is something where I will check with legal from the city,
Oh, I will absolutely. Well, okay, two things.
and they
First of
may
all,
be able to tell you the magic word for that.
can do that. Yeah. I will say two things. Firstly, because we don't have any oversight on the universities, like both as a city and as commissioners, there is no like legal issue with y'all saying, as the LGBTQIA commission, we want you to do a certain thing because you don't actually have control over that to do any specific thing. We are just strongly encouraging them, pressuring them, whatever you want to call it, into doing a specific thing. But if y'all want me to go and talk to legal about what the best kind of language would be for encouraging them to, I guess, be better about all of this without being too forceful or strong about it, I'm more than happy to do so.
I think the removal of that immediately reinstate just changes it. So
Okay.
I'm not, but I think that's having the legal look over it doesn't hurt. But I don't think that they need to reword much of it. But like we said, like foot and mouth, like later on, like I don't know. But yeah, I think that this letter is great to send once we change the call to action to
That's
an encouragement.
very doable. I'd also say that, at this moment, it is timely. There are still universities that do not have inclusive language or have removed their inclusive language. I agree that that might change in a few weeks or a few months, but at the very least, it would look like we were responsive in the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's put
Um,
and then also invite that representative from the university.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, I feel like although we only have a meeting like once a month, I feel like it's kind of like a little too late to say, like we're saying it now, but we I think we do need to move this forward.
I I really do.
Because it's things happen so quickly, you open
Yeah.
up Instagram and there it is. But also we don't know the full context of the issue. But I feel like we do need this like appropriate and expansive statement to come out sooner than later.
I completely agree. Well, and again, not a commissioner, so my agreement really doesn't matter at the end of the day, but yes, I agree that if we release it now, at least it looks like we are being responsive. If we wait too long to release it, it can look like we are kind of picking up the pieces in the midst of a different situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Donnie. I think it's essential that we be on the front lines ahead of this.
Yeah. So I guess, I motion to approve this letter for, I guess, actual public consumption. Once we remove this, immediately reinstate.
Is there oh, please go ahead.
And then you also said you're going to do something around the language with the world of some sort, but
yeah, I think I'm going to do academic environment instead of an academic.
yeah, but with those two changes, yeah, let's send and put to press.
Seconded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. So we are approving this with the change in academic world. I'm actually just going to do this in real time. All right. Any other, and we're also asking to reach out to somebody from Pitt to invite them to talk more about that language, right?
Yeah, would you like me to make that phone call?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll just suggest maybe the next session.
Yeah, I would leave it open to them, just give
Okay.
them the date and time and be like, hey, are you going to be available in like May or June? Because if they can't make May, I still want them to like prepare for June, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Okay, I will reach out to them.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, those changes have been made in real time. We are going to invite somebody from Pitt. We are going to release both of our statements with the amendments needed. We've done so much this meeting, guys. I'm so proud of everybody. We are moving into announcements. I have one tiny announcement, but otherwise, and I'm happy to do that. And then anybody else that wants to chime in is welcome to do so. My one very happy little announcement is, as I said in the beginning, we've had quite a few, or at least like 4 or 5 people submit resumes to become commissioners. So in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be doing some interviews and getting some new appointments to fill. I believe we have 2 seats that are empty that are community seats, one being Billy's. that actually goes perfectly into my other comment, which is we have not actually had a representative from the mayor's office on this commission. I know that it feels like the mayor's office is all wrapped up into here because I am here every single month, but the mayor is actually supposed to appoint somebody from the staff to be a commissioner. Long story short, the person that is going to join us, I'm very excited. They have a legal background. They are a lawyer. So I know that it came up earlier that, especially with Billy leaving, that we would want somebody that has a little bit of a legal background. They are one of my favorite coworkers. They are absolutely phenomenal to work with. I think they're going to add a lot of perspective and expertise to the commission. And so we will hopefully have 2 or 3 new commissioners within the next month or two. So I just wanted to give that little announcement. Any other announcements?
Yeah, the Cinco de Mayo festival will be happening on May 3rd and May 4th in Beachview. And I'm happy to share the flyer with you if you can help us to pass the information around.
Yes, absolutely. Please feel free to share, add all the commissioners onto it. Absolutely great with that. Anybody else on announcements?
I think Julian had something.
Yeah, I sent an announcement yesterday.
That's right. You have your flyer.
Yeah. So we actually, I don't know if you all are familiar with Trace Brewing in Bloomfield, but they have a new location in Uptown. And we're going to be partnering with them on a new happy hour called Pride on Tap. And it is a mixed environment. So there's going to be an alcohol section and a non-alcoholic section. So there's going to be 2 different types of drinks, so people can come and feel free to imbibe however they'd like to do. But it's like going to be a networking and just kind of ongoing every 3rd Thursday. And this could be a good point of contact for us as well if we want to have our suggestion box that we usually have at our table or something like that there. But it could be a good point of contact for the commission as well. But every 3rd Thursday, Pride on Tap, a new happy hour series with Trace and True Tea.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I would personally love to go at some point, whether I am working as the staffer for the commission or in my own free time. But that sounds beautiful and that sounds wonderful. Anyone, I'll make sure everybody gets the flyer as well as Guillermo's flyer about Cinco de Mayo. Anybody else have any announcements before we adjourn?
I will say this Thursday is my birthday is this Thursday as well. So
are you going on your birthday?
What?
I will be there.
Yay! That's
Happy
wonderful. All
birthday.
right. Any other announcements? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Right. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Woo! Perfectly on time. Everybody have a wonderful month.